also like,
right. No, you know what we're going to do? I'm going to one-up that, and I'm going to go, challenge you on.
Okay, so now, like, let's say you're making a Ken doll.
Like, we're going to race to that bar, and if you lose, you got to buy the first round.
Right.
You know, that kind of funny
okay.
stuff.
I totally agree. So, now, if you're going to make, like, a Ken doll version of my boyfriend, like, physical looks, what do you think? Like, my type.
Well, I've learned that tall is an issue. I wouldn't put that on there, but it seems like
I would date someone who's my height. I just like would kind of be like, if they were a little shorter than me, like an inch or two, I could get past. But like, I'm 5'8". Do you think like it would be weird dating someone 5'3" or no? You think that would be fine?
Well, no, I get what you're saying. I thought was the rule of thumb is
6 feet.
Yeah. Which I think is extreme.
But there's the whole thing about like people lie, like guys lie about their height now. Because like if you say you're 5'11", chances are you're not 5'11", because if you really were 5'11", you'd say you're 6 feet.
Right, but you're not really going to spend time nitpicking over an inch or two, are you?
Oh, absolutely not. No, I do not give a shit. But
besides that part, and that was more of a funny. I don't think you care that much. I just knew that.
I'm glad you think I'm not superficial, but yeah,
that was more of a funny. So, astrological signs?
So when the moon is in retrograde and Mars is to the left.
At this point, I would say, and I don't know if I'm going to be right when I say this, but I would say you don't have a type. I think what you're looking for is how somebody's going to treat you is more important than the physical aspects.
I think that's true. Yeah. I don't know. I'm
your mama. I know you.
Yeah, you do. I don't know. None of the, like, I just don't really think that, like, physical is going to make or break anything. Because even when I look at, like, people I'm attracted to, none of them look the same. I think it's, like, their personality.
You're looking for somebody that's going to bring you what I described earlier.
Yeah.
I think that's your type. Yeah. I don't know who that will be, but you'll know it when you see it.
Yeah. Oh, man. So, okay, what kind of guy do you see me with? Like, what's his job? Like, tell me a little bit about if you were going to make me a boyfriend.
Well, as far as job, I don't know. I mean, I don't think you pick something like that. I think it's going to be somebody who's loud and proud. I mean, if I could put a cliche to it or a little tag, loud and proud. Like a loud meaning, I have a voice, I've got a purpose, and I've got a destination. I've got, I know who I am. Because I feel like you're growing into knowing who you are. And so it goes back to the wishy-washy thing. I don't think you'll pick somebody that doesn't know who they are yet. And that's a developmental thing. That's just, it's not like a permanent thing. It's something that, are you growing? And, do you know who you are?
Mm-hmm. And I don't think I'm, like, necessarily picky, but I just don't feel like I need to date someone at this age. Like, for me, I want someone who's going to make me, like, grow. I just kind of, not that I, like, steer away from people who aren't, like, know who they are yet, but, like, I also feel like you don't want to date someone who doesn't know anything about themselves yet. I know that's such a cliche, but you don't want to be in a relationship with someone who might, like, be like, I need time for myself 2 weeks in. Or, like, after you finally develop something with someone, now they need to work on themselves or whatever. But, yeah, I think passion and drive, I don't know, like, what job there would be, but whatever job they have, like, people that just are super passionate when they talk about anything, but, like, especially about things that they're going after. Like,
right, if they have a direction and they want to succeed at that, I feel like you would think that's very attractive because it shows that shows growth, that you have drive and you want to do something and be something. And maybe that ties into why dating or the opposite, that people aren't dating, they're just hanging out. You learn nothing hanging out. You go to somebody's house and watch TV, you don't learn anything. If you go do an activity or outside, you know how they treat wait staff, how they act outside of their house or their bedroom, and that's important to know that. You're not going to living in watching a movie in somebody's house, you're acting like you're an old married couple, but yet you don't even know each other yet. So that's not going to work.
It's a weird concept, getting in someone's bed and cuddling with a stranger.
You don't know. Yeah, it's such an intimate setting to be with somebody that you haven't had outside settings with. Like, you don't know what they're like. What kind of apples are they going to eat at that apple orchard you go to? Exactly.
And imagine if Jeffrey Dahmer was still around and this hanging out
he was looking for some hanging out and cuddling.
Yes. That's what you risk. Jeffrey Dahmer.
You don't ever have to leave.
Yeah, basically he was dying for a Netflix and chill. What is your take on like online dating, like Tinder, Bumble? I mean, those are like the hot ones. I guess Hinge. Do you know what Hinge is?
I know all those titles. Well, I don't know Hinge, but I don't know anything about those.
Tinder, you basically swipe, and it's like if they swipe on you, then you match. And Bumble is different, same concept, except it like says like you can put in your height, your sign, if you're religious, what your political views are. You don't have to put all that in. And then the thing with Bumble is girls have to message first. So it's supposed to be like combat maybe like creepy guys just being like, do you want like come over? Like it's supposed to be more because maybe the girls message first. It's like,
well, I mean, all of that sounds fine if it's all to get a date. I mean, if you're going to meet in person right away, but is that the goal? Once you connect, you say, oh, I'm going to meet you at Dunkin' Donuts. We're going to have a coffee.
I don't know, because I think in my eyes, I would say like 70 to 80% of the guys on Tinder just want you for the one night. And then Bumble, I don't know. Some, like, I've gone on, remember that guy I was talking to last year? Like, we matched on Bumble, but, he ended up being a shithead. But before all that, like, we went on dates, but I've heard, like, I have some friends who've, like, met boyfriends off Bumble and Tinder, but
I don't know if I have a say on that. I mean, my big thing is try to meet in person as soon as possible. I mean, you have to know eye contact, physical,
You always go, what if they smell?
All the five senses. I was just going to say sight, smell, taste, all of that. You don't know that through typing or talking.
I also think that,
you need to be in person.
People, Steph always says, like, she thinks people look more attractive in person. I think that, like, people can edit pictures and mess around with it, that it's, like, you might as well, like, you don't really know how you're going to feel about, like, how someone looks until you see them in person. Because picture can make them look really good or really bad.
Yeah. Well, and if you don't want to date somebody, I'm sure online just chatting, if you just want somebody to talk to.
I think a lot of people do it for attention, too.
Yeah, and there's a thrill to that. It's like a little, it's not a high, but I know that it makes you feel pretty damn good for, 10, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Then you wait until you get another hit.
Yeah, it's like a freaking addict. So that to me
isn't really dating. That's just, stroking your ego.
Flirting or chatting, I guess. So now we are going to get into everyone's favorite segment here. Would you like to do the honors?
Is it next caller?
No. It's next question.
Oh.
You have to say it like that.
Okay, I'll let you do it then.
Oh, okay. So long story short, we are going to get into our questions of the week here. I asked this on Instagram, and we got quite a few questions, so I'm going to start a little early here. So the first question is, what's a funny story or challenging time that you had raising Maddie?
This is more of a recent funny story, but your freshman year of college, we rented a U-Haul and packed up all your stuff. So we rented a U-Haul from Milwaukee, drove up, picked you up, brought home all your stuff. We're driving home. You hop in, the center. There's not even a seat for you, so we're kind of squeezing. Do you remember that? And
I remember you packed up. I had packed everything in bins, and you moved me out while I was in my final.
Yes, and then we went and had a little Mexican lunch, and then when your final was done, we pulled up. And so we were driving home, and you said, this is so weird. I feel like I'm not really done with my freshman year. I feel like I'm coming back. And I look at you, and I go, really, we're in a U-Haul, and I point and I go, and all your stuff is back there. And you go, yeah, I know, but it's like maybe, the dorms were filled with asbestos and we had to clear out, and I was like, Maddie, your mind? How would you think that? So that's one Maddie-ism that, and I'll tell you another one. So, and these are all when you're older, honey. So I wish I could remember worse. Some from when you were a kid, because your imagination was loud and wide, and it was spring break, and we drove to the Smoky Mountains, and I rented this really cute cabin in the woods, and it's not like we were alone. There's other, cabins around. And it was divided into 2 bedrooms on either side of the main dining kitchen areas. And I thought, this is so cool. It's sweet. You had a bathroom. You had your own private area. And I thought, Maddie's going to love that because it's her on one side, us on the other. She'll have her privacy. And you hated it because you were up at night. Any noise, you thought somebody was going to come in and, get into your window
I remember this.
Murder you or something. And I showed you even that there's this cliff, like, we were on a hill. There's no way that you could climb into your window because it's 2 stories below. You have to drag a ladder. And you were like, I just, that you just had these heightened, I don't know what you want to call them, but imaginations.
Fears, yeah, imaginations.
So we gave you a hard time about that. And then when we were driving home, we stopped in Nashville to just hang out there one night before we came all the way home. And we checked into this hotel.
And it was sketchy from the get-go. Okay, I'm taking over this one. So imagine, I've just been telling them for the past few days, this place is so scary. Like, I'm going to get some boogeyman's going to come for me. And they're like, Maddie, literally, when has that ever happened to you in your life? Like, you're so dumb for even, you didn't call me dumb, but you're being irrational. Like,
right. Your imagination, you're getting carried away with your imagination.
Okay, come on, Maddie, be serious. Anyway, I'm like, all right, I guess it's just all in my head, right? So then we get into the sketchy hotel, and they get us to our room, and we go out, we have our time and a half in Nashville, and then we come back to the hotel, and we're all tucked in bed, right? And I can hear my dad snoring, and I know he's asleep. I know my mom's asleep. I was, like, on my phone, but I was trying to go to bed. And all of a sudden, I feel like I hear someone outside the door. But I'm like, okay, once again, Maddie, you're irrational. So let's just tone that back down. And then all of a sudden, I'm, like, hearing it getting closer. And then I'm like, okay, now I'm hearing the door jiggle a little bit. And I'm hearing it more aggressively jiggle. And then finally, you know how in the rooms it's like the card, and I'm like, holy shit. And so while I'm hearing this, I'm like, okay, do I say something? Because in my head, I'm like, if I get told I'm being irrational and I wake my dad up, he will light my ass on fire if it's nothing, okay? And I'm like, Dad, like something from the movie Elf, basically. And then all of a sudden I'm like, Dad, there's someone coming in the room, because I got so scared. And I've never seen my father Usain Bolt to the door quicker in my life. He slammed the door so hard shut. And then we were all so scared.
Basically, somebody was coming in the room, and James jumped out of bed, and the door was opening, and he fell forward to make sure the door didn't open.
Right. Anyway, and then I guess it was like some woman or some guy with was there on a business trip, got in late. It was going going down the hall, and they had their whole computer system was down, so they double booked the room. So it was literally someone just coming in late, wanting to go to bed, and they went to the wrong room, and they were probably terrified.
I'm sure they were terrified, but the moral of the story is apparently things do happen like that. Maddie's nightmares do come true.
So people tell me I'm irrational, but sometimes I'm rational, and these things do happen.
Oh.
So the next question is, can we come use your cute house hunter's house?
Oh.
So for those of you that don't know, my family is D-list celebrities. My parents were on International House Hunters. Do you want to talk about that at all?
Oh, maybe you could fill them in.
Yeah, basically our neighbor was telling them that they should apply. Long story short, applied more out of a joke than a serious thing. and got through the whole entire process. You can find their episode. It's called Spicing It Up in San Juan. I do have a cameo, and yes, I have had some celebrities reach out. My show is pending. Just wait on it.